Carlos for December 10, 2021, also known as in the disability special needs autism community as Carlos Alexandri, who's our coach Carlos. And we are going to have an awesome interview today with a legend. First, let's get the show started. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. First, let me get this stuff out of the way. As you could, let me see if I can move the graphics here real quick. The wording here. Okay. First of all, if you have any questions that you want to ask about the Alexander News Show, you can email us alexandernewsshow@gmail.com. And you can also call not call, but text the show at 786-652-7240. And we are on social media. Of course, the YouTube channel, Alexander News Show. And for this interview that I'm doing with the legend, I call him a legend because there's this gentleman has made an impact in the lives of individuals with special needs, mainly autism, in his history, and he's helped a lot of families. But anyway, so it's going to be on Special Needs Fitness Guru YouTube channel. So we're going to have Special Needs Fitness Guru channel. That's my business brand name YouTube channel. And then, of course, this channel, Alexander News Show. Anyway, the interview. So Alexander News Show and Special Needs Fitness Guru. So we are on Alexander News Show is on Facebook and Twitter, Alexander News SH. And if you want to follow the show, everything about news, politics, boom, boom. I'm going to be on Twitter. I had a show yesterday. You can go on there. Anyway, so let me get started. By the way, hit bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow. It's important, please. And to support the show, of course, again, Cash App, Cash Alexander News Show. Any donation would help. It's just going to go back to the show, and it's going to be to bring you real news, independent media. So let's get started. Let me go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to switch the icons here real quick from the Alexander News Show, deservingly so, to UMCARD. And I'm still trying to maneuver all this. And then, of course, the background to UMCARD. And I'm going to get Mr. Dr. Alessandri started. How you doing, Mr. Dr. Alessandri?
Carlos, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Welcome. We are live.
Great. This is great, man.
I am going to do the intro first. And I guess you'll be seeing the intro because it's all about you and the University of Miami Nova as well. Let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us this early. I usually don't come out this too early to do a show, but for Mr. Dr. Alessandri, Professor Alessandri, the legend, I call him the legend, and there's a lot of people that call him the doctor of autism for the state of Florida, maybe even U.S. We got this awesome interview, and we're going to discuss the history of Dr. Alessandri, and also UMNSUCARD, which serves Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach counties. And there's cards all around Florida, which is an awesome. And it's the gold standard. UMCARD is the gold standard to help the individuals with autism, the families, and related disabilities. So, Mr. Dr. Alessandri, welcome to the Alexander News Show.
Thank you, sir. Great to be here. And you're such a big fan. I love that. You're a great supporter and a great friend. And I'm always happy to show up for you whenever you want. I just want to correct one thing. We're Monroe, Broward, and Dade. Palm Beach
Okay.
is FAU card, but all the cards work together. In fact, right after this interview, I'm hopping on a call with all my colleagues around the state, and we do that every month to make sure that all the services are kind of aligned anywhere, wherever you live in any one of the 67 counties. But it's great to wake
Absolutely.
up. It's great to spend my Friday morning with you, Coach.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Alessandri.
Pleasure.
You know that I saw a pic. I have to get this out of the way first. I saw a pic of you throwing a high kick,
Yeah.
and that's awesome. That's so awesome. Is that a black belt that you're wearing?
No, no, no. I was just wearing like a fanny pack or something. I don't know. I was in Peru, and I was when I was a kid, I was a gymnast, so I've maintained my flexibility. I work out a lot, and I can still do those at
It
58
looks
years
like
old. 58
it
years
looks
old, I
like
can
a black
still do
belt.
it.
It looks like
Yeah,
a
I'm no
black
black
belt.
belt. I've never taken any, martial arts, but I was a gymnast when I was younger, and quite a good one at that.
No,
And
that's hard to
yeah,
do. That's really hard to do. So please, let me ask you, what inspired you
well, it's a
to
great.
work in the special needs, disability, medical business, and to work and help individuals with autism? Please.
Great question, and it's a story I've told, over the years. Um, it happened when I was 17, Carlos, if you can believe that. I graduated high school and didn't really have a job or never really worked, honestly, through school. My parents were supportive and they liked the idea that I loved to study and get good grades. And I was the valedictorian. I was that guy, essentially. But when I graduated high school, they really pushed me to do something in terms of employment in the summer or volunteer work, just something that would be kind of meaningful as I was getting ready to go to college. And a friend of mine, my best friend at the time, was working at a summer camp for children with disabilities. And she invited me to just come along with her one day. And on that very first day, I got to spend the day with this little boy named Marlon. And I remember going home that night telling my parents that I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I didn't know exactly that I would be, do psychology or special ed or neurology or whatever, but I knew autism. He had autism, Marlon, and I knew that autism would be in my life for the rest of my life. Just because that transformative moment when you meet someone and you find yourself kind of endlessly curious about the way that they interacted with the world, the way that he was interacting with me. He was nonverbal, had clear cognitive deficits, but I felt so strangely connected to him in one day, right? Despite all of the things that you would think would disconnect us, that I needed to know more. So I went to college and then graduate school, and it was always autism all the way through. And that was 40 years ago. So do the math. 40 years ago after I graduated high school, and I've been doing it every single day of my life since then, and we'll do
Well,
it
that's why I put
forever.
over 40 years of service to
Yeah.
the community. And so, how did you get connected with UMNSU card?
So I was, when I got my PhD, which was at Rutgers back in, I think it was 92. Yeah, 92. I went off to California. I got my first faculty job at a place called San Jose State University. And
Wow.
so,
Okay.
you've probably heard it. It's a state university in California. And
Oh, yeah.
I had it was a good experience. It was my right out of graduate school, my first faculty job. So it was a lot of teaching and not as much research, not as much clinical work that I was hoping to do. So at the same time, when I was working as a professor, I also took a job at Stanford as the associate director in the autism clinic there, Stanford University, working with some colleagues of mine, Linda Lotspeech and Donna Spiker. And, that just got me thinking that I wanted to really build kind of a university-based autism center, something that would be kind of publicly funded but available to the community at no cost or limited cost. And it was really hard to do for me in California alone. So, serendipitously, I happened to go to Las Vegas for an Autism Society of America conference. And across the table from me is this woman, Dr. Diane Adrian, who had just opened up the Card Center at the University of Miami. So we met, we
Okay.
started talking, and she said, "Send me your resume. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to work together," because she knew what I wanted to do in California, and she was doing it. Yeah, they had just opened it in 1993, and this was probably 1994 when we met. So fast forward to 1995 or six, she says, "We got some more money from the state. We'd love for you to come over for a year, spend a year with us." So I took a leave of absence from my job in California. with the idea that I would come over, work with her and her colleagues, which were basically two people at the time, and then go back
Yeah.
to California, right? Taking everything that I learned.
Yeah.
But that one year in 1996 has turned into 25 years. I never left. And so I really credit Diane, who's still there, by the way, and
Wow. Okay.
great asset to
I
the
believe
company.
I'd met her before.
She's wonderful, and she's really the reason that I'm at the University of Miami. So any good that I've done here can be traced back to her.
Well, that's awesome. And so I would like to know, you've won so many awards.
Well, I don't
Like
know that I won them, but they've been given to me.
you have, yeah, deservingly so. I mean, you've
Thank
earned them.
thank you.
You've won. Which is the one? I'll just throw this at you. Which is the one that means the most to you of all the awards that you've gotten?
I'm grateful for them all, of course, as you know. But for me, David Lawrence is such a hero of mine. I think everyone who knows anything
David
about
Lawrence Champion for Children.
Champion for Children. David Lawrence is a huge influence of mine, a huge supporter, and also a great mentor. And just having an award with his name on it, knowing what he's done for children throughout the state of Florida, particularly in Miami-Dade County through the Children's Trust, means the most to me. I think I think in my mind, I think I'm the only one who was nominated, and maybe that's the only reason I got it. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. But I don't know that I'm deserving of a David Lawrence Jr. Champion of Children award. But I've done my best to emulate his best qualities, which are really to care about the community, to build strategic partnerships, and to lead with compassion, and then ultimately to give back also. I think he's a great reflection of all the good that can be done if you just put yourself in the right spots and with the right people and have the right attitude.
Now, I mean,
So,
you also got in 2017 the Visionary Leader of the Year by the
oh,
Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce.
yeah, I love that one too. That's a great one too. I it's so hard to. It's like picking your favorite child, right? So I
Yes.
think I what I would say about that one is that was given to me by the chamber, and I think in large part because I was a graduate of the Leadership Miami class years ago, and they keep an eye on what their graduates are doing in the community.
Yeah.
And I love the visionary aspect of that award because I do think someone who was picking the winner that year understood, I think, what we've been trying to do at card, which is to have a vision for the future, for the next steps, for the community, for our families, for our clients who have autism and related disabilities. So it's about thinking about employment initiatives, housing initiatives around people with disabilities who are aging, right? All the things that people are going to need going forward, and having that vision to chart out a path for our organization, but also our organization in the context of the network of colleagues that we have built throughout the South Florida community. Because we all are working hard. We're all working harder than we probably could or should, but we all need to do better also, right? So there has to
That's
be
definitely
you
all
have
of
to
us.
chart a path. You have to have a vision to chart that path. Otherwise, you're just spinning in the wind, right? Trying to just
Yeah.
answer the next request that comes your way. So we do have a vision. We have grown. I mean, Carlos, we in 1993 when Diane opened the center, they had 88 families. Fast forward to 2021, we have over 14,000 active clients
Wow.
at
I last
Card.
heard it was 10,000.
No, forget about it. We get about 1,000 new clients every year, and we have to find a way
Wow.
to serve them. Over the last 6 years, we've had to find a way to serve them with the same amount of
And
funding.
that's why you got the tropical nights coming
That's
up,
right.
which we're going to get to really quick in a minute.
Yeah,
And
but to answer but to reflect on that, we would love to not have to fundraise, but we fundraise only to fill the gap, the funding gap that exists because we have more clients than we could ever possibly serve without fundraising.
no, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, you have traveled the world consulting and I believe teaching. Can you tell me what countries have you gone to?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we've been my colleagues and I have been very fortunate. Um, I think in 2003, we opened up a global consulting practice where we get to work with, hospitals and institutions and
Wow.
governments and families around the world. So I've been to Tokyo, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Australia about 15 times. We have a big presence in Brazil and in Italy, we have clients in Peru and Chile. We have families. We've had families in Switzerland. So we're pretty much, wherever anyone. Mexico is another country we're working closely with now. So, and Bahamas is another one. We've done a lot of work, a lot of really good work for, and sometimes it's for clients and families, but often it's really a larger kind of initiative, like a training initiative for professionals. Or I actually went to the Bahamas many years ago and did a kind of a state of the services of autism. I looked at everything that they were doing from diagnosis through death, and kind of summarized, some of the things that I think they could do, basically helping them chart their path forward. That's that visionary component. So yeah, I've been really blessed. I tell everyone I'm a 2 million miler. I have
Yeah.
over 2 million miles on American Airlines. So I've definitely flown around the globe a few times.
And yeah, you've made a tremendous impact. Like I mentioning right now, we're mentioning not only in Miami, but
Yeah.
USA and worldwide. I
And
mean,
it's super gratifying, because I think one of the things that I've been talking a lot about, I actually did a conference for Qatar. I did it virtually because there's no travel right now. But
yeah,
and one of the things that I've been talking about a lot over the last couple of years is the card model, because I think the card model, and Florida was really progressive in 1993, creating the card model, because nothing really exists like it anywhere else. And I think other countries could adopt this model. It's a very cost-effective way of serving clients with or citizens with autism and related disabilities for their entire lifespan, and also building that capacity among the professionals in the community as well. Because one of our priorities is to make teachers better, to make doctors better. We're also working with law enforcement and businesses. We're trying to make the world, in every aspect of life, better for people with disabilities, particularly autism in our case.
yes, I agree. I mean, we all have to get better. I mean, even me with what I do, working with individuals with autism, I'm always trying to get better. And I'm trying to always change my brand and everything.
Yeah. But
So
you're doing great. Let's let the audience know. Like you're a guy that I really trust. I think you do really good work. You're not afraid of anything. You take on the challenges of really challenging cases. I think you do it with a
I learned from
good
you.
attitude. Yeah, I mean, but I'm very comfortable sending you complicated situations, which I think is what parents want their kids to be active, right? They want their kids to be engaged. They want them to be fit and healthy, and they want someone to work with them who's not going to shy away from the difficulties and from the challenges of working with them, and someone who's going to keep coming back and keep working hard and really be committed even through the difficult moments. And you have been that for several of my
Well,
families, and I thank you for that.
I thank you, Dr. Alessandri. I really do appreciate it. I mean, let me throw this at you. I mean, how many families? I mean, if you have to pick a number, you individually have
Mhm.
helped in your history.
I mean, it's in the thousands for sure.
Whew.
Yeah, it's in the thousands for sure. I mean, remember, I started in 81. If you think about all the kids I worked with all those summers, and then in graduate school, I was working at a school for children with autism for 4 years. There are hundreds of kids over those 4 years, probably. And then since I've come to CARD, many of those 14,000 I know, or at least or have worked with, or at least know who they are and have tried to support in some way. I mean, obviously, the bigger you get and the more administrative your role becomes, you have less and less opportunity to work directly with the families. But I have a very active caseload. I'm very proud of that. I'm not the administrator who doesn't see clients anymore. I still do every day, and I also run a fathers group. It's called Just for Dads, and it's super
Yes,
active.
I've seen that.
It's
Tell me a little
wonderful.
bit about that.
It's fantastic. Like we meet monthly, either live or via Zoom, and these are dads. These are dads who are wanting the best for their kids, and they're wanting information. They're wanting to share. They want to be active in not only their lives but in the autism community. So we have a WhatsApp group that's super active with probably 50 dads who are
Wow.
really active, and we welcome any dad in South Florida of a child with autism or related disability to join us. It's a great way to get support from other dads. Like, I'm there as the facilitator, but
That's
really the
awesome.
dads are supporting each other. They really love each other and really care about making this community better, and then supporting CARD, of course, in the process, so that we can continue to do what we do.
What other organizations, before we get into the UMCARD and Tropical Nights, what other organizations are you tied to? I believe it's important to let the
Yeah,
South Florida community and the worldwide community know here in the Alexander News Show. We're
I
also
think
live on Special Needs Fitness Guru YouTube channel. Are you a part of?
Well, we consider ourselves to be partners with any organization in South Florida that's serving people with developmental disabilities. So we have a very, very long-standing and close relationship with Parent to Parent of Miami. We are the lucky recipients of funding from the Children's Trust, which is a wonderful organization that has done, immeasurable things to make the community better for children in general, but children with special needs in particular. We get our funding from the Florida Department of Education, so we're partnered with every school system in Florida, essentially through the CARD network. I have been on the board of the South Florida Autism Charter School. I have been on the board of the Demoya Foundation. I have been on the board of Parent to Parent. I've been on the board of Easter Seal, South Florida, another great partner. I'm currently on the board of the Casa Familia, which you may have
Yes.
heard of. It's an affordable housing
Yes.
community that we're building starting in the spring. I'm also on the board of a group called Work for America, which is focused on
Wow.
employment. And I'm on the board of the L's for Autism Foundation, which is in Jupiter, Florida. So
Robin Parker.
Robin Parker Foundation, I was the original president of that foundation. She was my colleague at UMCARD for many years, who, sadly passed away because of pancreatic cancer when she was very young, only 50. And actually, I've been thinking a lot about her lately as this award is kind of coming, because so much of
Yes.
my good work really is so much of my time at CARD was connected to her. So it's going to be a little bit
I
bittersweet to,
remember because I went to one of those one of your events
yeah,
with Robin Parker a couple years back, and
she was very special.
yeah, the impact that she made in her lifetime was amazing, from what I know.
Yeah,
So tell me, I have a question to ask you
sure.
in regards to how did get connected with Nova Southeastern?
That's a really good question too. So
I asked
this
one of your colleagues yesterday,
you did?
and
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, so it's a little bit of a story, right? So we were always serving Broward County and on Palm Beach. So in the beginning, our card at served Monroe, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And over the years, it became clear that in order to really serve those communities better, it would be better to have partnerships with the universities that were in those communities. So we partnered with Nova, to serve Broward County, and we partnered with FAU to serve Palm Beach County. And then all of
okay,
that got put into the statute, and the funding would flowed through to those institutions. Ultimately, FAU broke off and took on a lot of the counties that were in the Treasure Coast, because
got it.
it was hard to serve
Okay,
them from Jacksonville or Gainesville or other places. So FAU became its own independent card, picked up a bunch of counties that they serve. And then Nova was just serving Broward. And we saw an opportunity to really cement that relationship by changing our name from UMCARD to UMNSUCARD, which is a reflection
okay,
of the close collaboration between these two kind of powerhouse private universities in South Florida. And it's been great. Like, everyone is always kind of I think everyone's shocked actually that two private universities could work so well together, because universities are always competing for resources, for
of course,
attention, for
yeah.
status. And this partnership has been flawless from the beginning. We've never had any issues. We've got a great team in Broward County. We have a great partnership with Nova. They have a lot of autism services on that campus. So it works. It's just worked beautifully, and it'll God willing, it'll last forever. They do need more money though. Nova gets really it is the most underfunded of all the university centers for sure. And so we need to try to correct that in the coming years.
What needs to happen for that to be possible? I'm
Oh
going to
man, I
throw
wish
a
I
talented
knew.
question at you.
A miracle. What we need is, we need champions in the legislature who really step up and not just support us, which I think many of them
Michael
do.
Greco's one of them.
Michael Grieco is a great guy, great
Greco,
friend,
yes,
super
yeah.
supporter. He's very public about his own journey with his family and autism, and gives us a lot more credit, particularly me, than probably I deserve. But he's there and he's fighting hard, and he continues to be a champion. There are many of them, locally. I mean, in the legislature, we've had many, good supporters over the years. Rene Garcia has been a supporter. Manny Diaz has been a supporter. Um, uh, who else? Let's see. Nick Duran, Van Salupis. I'm going to forget someone, and then I'm going to be in trouble. I don't want to be in trouble. But they've
That's
all
fine.
been the whole Miami-Dade delegation has been supportive. But what we need, it's been 6 years since we've had an increase, and we've grown by 62%. So we really need someone this year to kind of push us over the edge, because we just can't sustain the kind of growth without some additional funding. And then, I think the other thing I want to say to you around that is, in the county this year, we were able to get some funding thanks to the support of Raquel Regalado.
Okay.
She was able to get an appropriation in the county budget, and supported by the commission, supported by the mayor, and she's been great. The other one I want to tell you about, because it goes back a number of years, but the one guy in my whole time at that really gave us a significant increase in funding was Eric Fresen, when he was the head of education appropriations.
Wow. Okay.
K-12 went back in the House of Representatives. So we've had some good support. They're good people who are doing well, but sometimes these CARD is a very small amount of money relative to the whole state budget. So sometimes it's hard to get the legislature to really pay attention to the smaller ticket items when they're so focused on big policy issues and all the drama that goes on in
Well,
politics.
that's why we're doing this show, because I would like to create awareness
Yeah, I
and
appreciate that.
make this possible. And media plays a part in this.
It does, yeah, it does, and I think, listen, the mission, it's not a difficult cause to promote, right? Like, everyone wants to take care of people with disabilities. Everyone wants to get them what they need to be more successful, more independent. But it is a difficult journey to get to the finish line when it comes to getting extra funding from the state
But it's
budget.
a gold
And we don't.
standard.
And the other thing I want to say to you, and I think it's important for the audience and also any of the government officials to know, like, we're not sitting around waiting for that money. We need the money, but we're finding other ways to close the gap. Then fundraising is one thing. We're writing grants all the time. I think I've gotten almost $40 million in grant money over the
Wow.
course of my
Okay.
career, which is a lot of money. There are a lot of professors who get a lot more than that, but not all of that is CARD money. Like, a lot of that is just private foundations, other state grants, other local grants, federal funding to support our research teams. Like, you have to have a portfolio of funding sources that allows you to sustain yourself even when
Yeah,
you're
no,
not
you
getting
need that.
increases.
Without that, you wouldn't be able to survive.
Yeah, and donors. We have a huge donor base that comes back. Many of them come year after year after year and support our programs and services, and we're always so grateful for that.
Well, tell me real quick, what are a couple of other things that UMNSUCARD does for the community, for the autism and related disability community?
One of
What
the new,
other
yeah, I
services?
think two of the really exciting things that are happening right now are our autism safety initiative. So we have been the beneficiaries of a nice gift the last couple of years, where we've been able to bring in an autism safety expert, former Lieutenant Bart Barta. Excuse
That's
me.
right. I saw his picture yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Bart is a wonderful guy, former lieutenant in the Coral Gables Police Department, also a dad of a person with autism in his family, and he is an expert in training law enforcement officers on how to deal with, understand autism when they see it, and then respond appropriately when they're interacting with a person with autism. And so we've been able to bring him on as a consultant and provide training to
That's
probably
awesome.
thousands of
We need
officers.
that.
Yeah, so some of them are police recruits. We've trained school resource officers, and also broader, police and fire. And we have a big training coming up actually this coming week in Jupiter. We're going to be working with some of the Jupiter police as well as some of the local police departments, and I'll be actually going up for that because I want to see firsthand how it all goes. But that's the autism safety piece has been hugely impactful. And then the other major initiative we have now is our autism friendly initiative, where we're working with local businesses to help them become more friendly, so that they can we want them to create safe places and spaces for people with autism and their families. So
That's awesome.
we have a whole
We need
training.
that.
We have a training component, and then we support them and do site visits to make sure that they're implementing things correctly. And then we're also encouraging the businesses that have the capacity to create jobs for some of our constituents with autism, because we want to create employment opportunities as well. So we want it to blend with our employment initiatives as well as our community-based autism-friendly
And
initiatives.
let me just say for the record, UMNSUCARD has sent individuals out into the workforce, because I remember a few years back, unfortunately, what happened with Toys R Us happened and they went bankrupt. But you sent two individuals to work at Toys R Us, and they actually worked and they got hired and they did very well until unfortunately Toys R Us went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And that was
Yep.
to me.
Mhm.
And it's a very successful program. It's very
Yeah.
successful.
We do. We're very lucky. We have really talented team of clinicians who are creative and innovative
Yeah, you
and
got a
work
good
much
team.
hard. They're working really hard. I mean, everyone's working harder than they're more than they're being paid for.
It
Let's say
takes a
that.
village, by the
It
way.
takes a village, and I wish we could pay them what they're worth, but it's always very complicated in kind of this nonprofit world that we live in to get people their worth. But they work hard. We have a program called Job Seekers, which has been supported by a number of different donors. It's basically an employment training program, so it's very intensive. People come for either a full week or they come once a week for, depending on, every year we structure it a little bit differently, and they learn interviewing skills. They learn how to look for a job. They learn how to dress for a job. They learn resume building skills, like all the things you need to be successful in your attempt to not just seek a job, but to get a job. And then we're now working with employer partners to try to place these individuals. And we can't do it alone. So we work with great organizations like the Demoya Foundation, for one, really the star, I think, of innovative approaches to employment in Miami-Dade and Broward. And they're being very successful in placing and supporting young adults, many of whom come through our job seekers program, in sustainable jobs that just don't love, they can keep, right? Because they're being
Yeah.
supported appropriately. A lot of people get jobs, but they don't keep them because they're not being appropriately supported. And foundations like that, which really is the gold star in my opinion, are making it possible for people to keep their jobs.
Well, I wanted to ask you in regards to Tropical Nights. Tell me a little bit about this event. How many years has it been going on?
That's a good
Um,
question. I think this is our 19th year, possibly, of Tropical Nights. We started it, we never fundraised. And when I first started at Card, we didn't fundraise at all. But then myself and two moms, Marie Whitehurst and Michelle Cruz, got together and decided to, put together a walk for autism. Back then, it was something called NAR, the National Alliance for Autism Research. So in I think it was 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2000. We had our very first autism walk in South Florida. It was only the second autism walk in the whole country. There was one ahead of us in Pittsburgh. And then we've been, South Florida's been doing walks ever since. NAR, which is the original organization, merged with what now is Autism Speaks. And so those walks have continued. So other people now kind of manage that, run that. But when we realized we could raise money, if we could manage a walk and put that together, just the three of us and our many volunteers and supporters, we're like, why don't we raise money for Card as well, right? Because we need the funds too. So we started Tropical Nights back then. We actually hosted the first one at Michelle Cruz, who I just mentioned, her house. And it
wow.
was lovely.
Okay.
And we've been doing it every year ever since. Now, COVID kind of upended us. We had to cancel several events and move to virtual last year. And
Yeah,
now
you having it the 18th of December. You've
December
always had it
18th.
in the spring of
Yeah.
each other year.
Yeah, but we're live. We're back in person, God willing, December 18th, which is just a week away. And we already have. I mean, we're sold out. 500 people should be there. It's going to be a big event. You'll be there covering it,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
think we'll raise more money this year than we've ever raised at a single event. So we're really excited about the response from the community.
Tell me about the artwork. It's
Yeah,
amazing the displays of art that's going to be shown and I guess sold as well
true.
in the event. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So first of all, it's called Tropical Nights. That's the brand that we've had for our event for every year. But they're honoring me this year because it's my 25th anniversary, which is very lovely and generous and kind. But I'm a huge
Deservingly so. Again,
thank you,
deserving.
I appreciate it. But I'm a huge lover of Paris. Like, I go to Paris every year. It's been ever since I was in the third grade. I've been obsessed with Paris. I'm very much a Francophile, as they say. And my team thought it would be interesting to, just do a little spin on Tropical Nights and make it kind of an evening in Paris. And so we're doing that. And we always pick a featured artist. The last number of years, we've been picking a featured artist who has autism, an autistic artist. And when they said to me, who would you want the artist to be this year, I immediately, I'm not sure why, but it just instinctively, I thought of a client of mine. His name is Nicholas, or
Wow.
Nicholas Margallo. He's, young boy, teenager. And I just had seen some of his work. He'd won a few contests, and I love his family, love him. I've watched him grow up since he was diagnosed. And I thought, I want Nicholas to be our featured artist. And he has produced some beautiful, You've probably seen the invitation. Beautiful work
No.
for the event, including a portrait of me, which is
Wow.
he
I
says,
need to see
Doctor.
that.
Yeah, it's I think it says something like Michael smiling when he's with his patients or something
Is
like
there a
that.
place I could see that?
Yeah, yeah. Go to the. You should be able to see it on the. It's on the invitation. I'll send you a link to where you
Okay,
might be
I
able to
got to
see
see
it, but
that.
you'll see it at the event too. So it's basically, my bald head and my smile, and it's lovely. Like Nicholas is so talented, and his parents actually sent me a picture of his face when he opened the invitation and saw his work. It's just
Wow.
so inspiring to me to see how much power it has when you just acknowledge someone's gifts, right, in a very honest and in this case a little bit public way. Like he was so happy about being featured in the way that we featured him, and listen, everything we do is about the autistic people, right? It's about
Yes.
them, and we have autistic voices on our board, we have autistic voices in our lives. Like we
Wow.
always want to be informed by the community that we're serving, right? But we also, we listen to parents, we listen to teachers, we listen to ourselves. We listen to all the voices that represent the community. But the autistic voice is very important to include in everything that we do.
And and the Tropical Nights event, who else is being honored?
Just me.
Wow.
I'm the one guy they picked. Yeah. I mean, I guess,
Wow.
when you stay around long enough, you you get a big
Hey,
party.
Dr. Alessandri, you're a fixture in this community.
I hope so. Yeah.
Everybody knows anybody and everybody in the special needs world, therapist. I mean, I know because I'm everywhere.
That's
They
true.
know like Dr. Alessandri. Oh yeah, I know him. He's a great individual. He's an awesome person.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
like,
listen, I try. Listen, I'm
I
not gonna.
mean,
I think I try to be. I try to be nice. I try
never
to
heard
be.
anything negative about you.
Well, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find somebody, I'm sure.
No, I
But
mean,
listen, I've
with me, it's a different story. With me, it's a
yeah.
different story. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of haters out there, but
Well,
you,
listen,
no,
I
you're a legend.
what I
You're
will
a
tell
legend,
you is
doctor.
this, that I have matured over the 25 years. Like when I first came to town, I was definitely a little brash, a little arrogant, maybe a lot arrogant. And but you learn as you
Yeah,
age, you learn as with experience, you learn to trust, your colleagues, and you
yeah.
learn to trust yourself. And I've not been perfect in the journey. I've made some missteps here and there, but I've always corrected them, and I've always tried to be, now I think I'm very kind. I think I'm very gracious. I think I'm very cooperative and collaborative, and I'm always very keen to acknowledge, and have gratitude for the contributions that everyone in this community is making. I may not agree 100% with what everyone is doing here or there or anywhere, but the fact that they're doing something and making an attempt to make the world a better place, I think is worthy of my,
And that's what I love
attention, and
about
worthy of
you.
my
Yeah.
praise, right? So and you do learn you have a responsibility over time as you become kind of the, I'm not saying I'm this now, but as you start to become the elder statesman, you have a
Yeah.
responsibility to really embrace all the attempts to do better, even if they don't always go right. Like all of my attempts to do better have not always gone right, for sure. So I just respect the process and I respect the effort.
Doctor, that's what I love about you. But so really quick before we end the show, what is the one thing? Well, actually, I'll throw two things at you. What is the one thing that you would love to accomplish before you decide, you know what, it's time? Because like me, I'm not going to be able to continue doing what I do for special needs individuals forever. I mean, I wish I could, but there's a time where it's like, okay, I'm done. And the Alexander News Show, again, not going to be forever. What is the one thing that you would like to accomplish before you decide, you know what, it's time?
Mm.
I'm going to Mexico to live in Mexico. I think that's what you're going to do. I'm going to
Maybe
move over
that's
there.
probably something I will do. Yeah,
And
I mean,
yeah,
listen, it's a great question. I don't. I think for me, like honestly, there are a couple things that keep me up at night, but the one thing that really keeps me up at night is, um, the lack of support and services, even from my own organization, for families who have children with very severe and profound forms of autism.
yeah,
It's very difficult to find
which I work with
therapists.
them, by the way.
Yeah, no, and that's why
I've
that's
seen
why you're
families
so
and it's
special. Yeah. But
hard.
even, we have, there are even some people who are trained to do this work who say, I don't really feel competent to work with the more severely challenged, behavioral cases, or that's not in my, scope of work, or not my wheelhouse, or not, these families, it's hard for them to find schools that work. It's hard for these young adults to find placements when they exit the school system. It's hard for anyone, but particularly those who have really severe presentations. But you think about these families, and we have families with twins, and we have families with 2 or 3, sometimes
Wow.
4 kids on the spectrum, and many of them are much more severely affected. And so when you think about how hard it is for them to find recreational activities, how hard it is for them to find educational activities, and how hard it is to put a team together that actually supports these individuals in these families. Some of our families never get a break, because they can't find anyone to leave their kids with that they trust, and that are effective in taking care of their kids. And listen, I tell my staff all the time, we need to do better. Like we have to find ways to build programs and support for families that take care of the most impacted, the most needy kids and adults and families that we serve. And
Families
so
need a break. Parents need a
families need
break
a break.
sometimes.
There's virtually no respite care in Miami-Dade County, and it's really, really hard for families to cope across the lifespan when you don't get a meaningful break. And a meaningful break means you can go somewhere and have faith that someone competent is taking care of your children. You can leave your kids with someone, but are you really confident that that person
Right.
has the skills to take care of the most, behaviorally challenged in particular? So that's one. I think the other is the disparities in communities of color, getting them to be
Okay.
connected with card services, to access card services, even getting a diagnosis sometimes is very challenging, if particularly in the Black community. So I would say the severe autism, or what we're calling now profound autism, that's a community that I'm very concerned about, and I probably lose
I
a lot
like
of
to try to
people.
get more. I like to try to do more as well through. That's why I
Yeah.
created that news
And you
show.
can, like I said before, you're fearless. So that's the key, right? You
Yeah.
have to be
Thank
fearless,
you.
and you have to be like, willing to take on a challenge. Like we can all work with the easy cases. That's not challenging. But it seems like, a lot of the professional community wants the easier path. And I
I
think we have
want
to
hard
build
cases. I
yeah,
want to deal with the hard stuff.
we
That's
have
how
to
I
build
made it in this
we have
world.
to build a community of providers that, says, sign me up. I want the most difficult case you have. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm looking for.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
doctor. And so year round, can you donate to UMNSU Card year round? I believe that you can go to the website. Can
Yep.
you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's you can donate to UM, you can donate to the Nova part of card, any minute of any day of any year, you could make a donation. So it doesn't have to be
Perfect.
just through Tropical Nights. Tropical Nights is just the one event we have every year, but we have people giving money throughout the year. So we would welcome any donation, any size. It will absolutely be put to good use. Um, about 99% of I would say 98% of our funding right now just supports the staff. We have virtually very limited operational costs. We do have some rents that we pay, and some of our, like Miami Lakes.
What's the website again? I'm
It's
sorry.
card.miami.edu.
Okay, that's
Card.miami, and then
great.
you'll see a place to give, and then you can choose where you want to give, whether it be UM card or the Nova card division, or Tropical Nights. So those are your 3, viable options. But
Everybody, you know now. I mean, because you know
well,
what? We're live, but this video will stay on the channels,
great.
and I'm going to be putting it out there. You know, you can donate year round to
Thank you.
grow UMNSU card because it can grow and grow and grow, and it needs the money. It needs money and funding, and we need to elect political figures. This is not a Republican thing or a Democrat thing or an independent thing that will provide funding for the cards, not only in Miami, Dade County, greater Miami area, but all around state of Florida. One last thing, Dr. Alessandri.
Let me
How
say
does it
one thing also, because the one thing I did forget to mention is we've had huge support from Lieutenant Governor Nunez. She's a great fan and a great supporter of ours.
oh wow. Okay,
Even came
yes.
to meet with our families at UM pre-COVID, and we had a wonderful meeting with her. And she's, even when she was in the legislature, she always met with us, was always gracious, and now we're really lucky, I think, that we have someone in the executive branch in Tallahassee who really knows us and
Yeah,
understands
I
the impact
know.
we're
I
having.
know her.
She's
She's,
amazing. She's a lovely,
she's a
lovely, supportive
fighter.
person. Yeah,
She's a
she's just,
fighter.
she understands our mission, right? She gets what we're trying to do. And, obviously the politics of money is always beyond the people who are in, the governor and lieutenant governor don't have complete control over the budget. So we need legislators to really push for, and I think this is the year to push us over the edge a little bit. I think there's, what I read yesterday is looking like it's going to be a big budget in the state of Florida this year. So hopefully we can get a couple of those crumbs. Let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Prayers
You're
to
right.
God that it happens. How does it feel? Last question. How does it feel to be honored at Tropical Nights? Are you going to shed a tear or two, Dr. Alessandri?
Inevitably, inevitably. Yeah, I often do, even when I'm not being the subject of attention. But no, I think it's going to be, I'll have family there, I'll have friends there, I'll have colleagues there, and we'll have a lot of supporters and clients of cards. So I think it's just going to feel lovely and wonderful. And I think it's going to, I hope it feels like, I hope I feel worthy when it happens. But right now it's all a little bit intimidating. I'm a little bit anxious about the night. I know everyone's going to want a little bit of FaceTime with me, and that always feels kind of challenging. But I'm just, I'm grateful and I'm humbled that so many people want to come and so many people are writing checks and making gifts, um, and there's a nice little buzz building for it that I'm feeling. My family's coming. My brother and his 3 kids will be here, and I have
Congratulations.
some other family coming too. So I think it's gonna be a really special kind of way to end these first 25 years. I'm calling them the first 25 years because who knows what comes next. But hopefully, I'll continue on for quite a while.
All about the positive, Dr. Alessandri.
That's
And
me.
the work never ends. But
No,
you
it sure doesn't.
deserve the honor. You deserve it.
Thank you, buddy.
Because you've
Appreciate you.
you've you've come a long way. Like you have over 40 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's 25 years in UMCARD, but you're talking 40 years legacy. I
yeah.
mean,
I
that's
always I always tell people that I showed up, I worked hard, and I cared. And I think that's the only 3 things you can ask of anyone in the workplace.
well, Dr. Alessandri. I'm so grateful to be a part of it next week, being there, covering the event.
I'm
Um,
glad you're coming.
And I thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the Alexander News Show. I mean, we can be here discussing your history and UMNSUCARD, and all the cards for another hour. But unfortunately, time, and you got things to do, and the
Yeah,
Alexander News Show cannot
I
go
do.
continue.
We could
But,
talk about you for hours too, my friend.
oh, no, doctor. This is about you, Dr. Alessandri.
Today.
This is
Okay.
about you and
Thanks
what
for
you
having me.
have done and your staff, because it takes a village, what your staff has been able to do for the special needs, the autism and related disabilities community, because you have done, in spite of lack of funding, you've done a lot of things for the community, the individuals who are unfortunately can't speak for themselves and their families. And with just very little money, that's why you're being honored, Dr. Alessandri.
Thank you.
And you have an amazing team at UMNSUCARD as well.
We really
Need to
do.
be recognized. It's a village. And I want to thank you for all you've done and what you'll continue to do. I would love to have you in this world, in the perfect world, for another 25 more years. But
Wow, that's
you
pushing
all
it.
you have to retire at some point.
I do.
But I thank you for coming on the Alexander News Show. Okay?
Thanks for having me, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the legend, Mr. Dr. Alessandri, in today's show was about interviewing him. Thank you. You have yourself a good day. December 10. Please, if you missed this interview, you can go into the YouTube channels, Special Needs Fitness Guru, and that's the business channel. And of course, this is the news channel, Alexander News Show, and you can catch the entire interview. Thank you for coming on and watching and listening to Dr. Alessandri and discussing what UMNSUCARD is all about and the incredible services that's done with families, done for families that have kids or individuals of autism and related disabilities as well that are similar to that. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a great day and a great weekend. And if I don't catch you again, hey, listen, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And go back to, you can go into the YouTube history and watch my show from yesterday. And again, you can follow my Twitter really quick. I just want to put this here real quick here. My social media platform here is there. All the information is here. And if you're a sponsor, a business, you want to sponsor the show, boom, alexandernewshow@gmail.com, or you can text the show as well. And you can also donate right here. Let me give you the text right here. Boom. You can text this phone, and you can also donate to the show. Support, Cash App, Cash Alexander News Show. And I'm able to bring you content like interviewing Dr. Michael Alessandri, who I admire so much. I mean, a gentleman that I admire so much, who's done so much and for the community. But anyways, you can follow me on social media. You all have a great one. I'll catch you very soon. I'll be around. Follow me on Twitter, Alexander News SH, and Instagram. Those are the two social media platforms, and Facebook as well. And the other one is, of course, the YouTube channels. Have a great one. Bye-bye.